Welcome back. We are live from the Blizzard Arena. This is our Los Angeles stop of the Overwatch World Cup. How's everybody doing in the Blizzard Arena tonight? You guys having fun? I have to remind myself, it is still bright and early, but we have a long day of action. The first match is done and dusted. It's Norway taking a 3-1 victory over Austria. But we still have 4 matches coming your way. Up next, we got Canada versus Switzerland. Few people excited for this one. We got Norway versus USA, Switzerland versus Brazil, and the big one to close out the night, USA takes on Canada a little bit later on. It's gonna be a good one. Now, a reminder, guys, we want to hear from you. Who are you cheering for throughout the day? Use the hashtag OWWC2018. Is it gonna be Team Switzerland? Or maybe some Team Canada? USA, Brazil, whoever you love, let us know. We'll be checking in, of course, in our fan polls, powered by T-Mobile. Guys, make some noise one more time, because it's time to get this one started. We got Canada on my right. We got Switzerland on my left. And the match kicks off right now as we send it backstage to our casters. It's Uber and Mr. X.
It's a great opportunity for a stuck in the middle with you line there, Pumpkin. It's going to be great. We're hyped for this one. Obviously, Canada hurtling at breakneck speed towards a fated matchup with United States of America. But first, Switzerland stands in their way. And we've seen some impressive things from this Swiss roster, Matt.
Yeah, I think they're better than what we expected. I think Switzerland, we expected to be a little bit, down towards the bottom, which they are. But I think we expected, their play to be a little bit worse than they have been. So they have been better than expected. Canada has been extremely strong. Like
about as good as expected, or maybe even better?
Nobody has really done anything to show for when he plays Sombra throughout the entire weekend thus far.
Do you expect that to change here, realistically, Matthew?
Do you?
Do you?
I don't.
I asked first! Probably not. Here's your Canada roster, of course, headed up by the very well-known Jane. Interestingly enough, of course, later on today, when we have the USA vs Canada, both coaches will be from the Dallas Fuel. It's going to be exciting. But look, you love this roster, of course. And Switzerland here, I'm really impressed by the supports. I think Remix and Scorpion have really demonstrated an ability to adapt, and also just individual performances, which are often crucial at the World Cup.
Yeah, we've seen some nice performance from a lot of the supports. Eclipse of Austria, he's had some really strong performances as well. Both of the supports here.
Also, Lux just going absolutely ham on Widowmaker on day one, and Gibraltar, that was good to see. So the ability is here in spades, Matt. It's all about getting it in the right direction. Ilios is going to be our first map, though, and again, we would not be surprised to, see maybe a little bit more of a lean towards, fire play. Agility is obviously in the roster and the lineup today. Shore4, again, can produce a lot of those Widowmaker and Sombra performances. Canada will need to get them across the line.
Yeah, and I feel like the meta right now is really strong for XQC. Some aggressive play, but then also, considering how much of the ladder he plays, right, just on a stream on a daily basis, like he has so much practice going against, playing against Doomfist and Sombra and like all these different types of things.
It also is why he has a permanent nervous twitch walking around, because he knows what he's about to have to face in this current meta. It's interesting. XQC super, super ramped up. We heard from, Jane that his communication was excellent on roster. Yesterday in his pool stream, I'm sure you guys have all seen it. He tried to, give us an idea of what we'd sound like. I don't think I've ever made the sound when I've been casting, but I appreciate the attempt at a comparison.
All right, we have a surprise here from Switzerland. 3 tanks, 3 supports. Don't see this often. I'm kidding. We see this all the time.
This is the go-to.
Yeah, it'll be Farah, Sombra here for Canada. They will not run 3 tanks, 3 supports. Shore4 knows exactly what Switzerland is going to do. Maybe they're thinking they're going to come in with like a tracer or something. They can catch them off guard.
You can't do this. Like, you're going to get scouted out early, man. Like, it's really hard to obscure anything you're doing. Quick fade back in. That would have been nasty for Scorpion if he'd gone over the edge so early in the fight. But Agility's puts the fear of God into Switzerland thus far. But it's Batty the first to fall. Whip shot from Shinoda to send him packing.
And also to sit there in the back and wait there for Switzerland. Like, if you've watched any of Canada's games all weekend, they have run this comp pretty much on this point every single time. Shore4 has been on the Sombra a lot this weekend. Should have expected that to happen, although they do take the point here first.
Yeah, move in with that very durable 3-3 composition. They've lost Lux now, though, so again, barrier's not going to be able to be given out. Still defense matrix to protect against the barrage. Right in the face is the flight, of course, from Keeper to try and shut down Agilities, but the rest of Canada come charging in. XQC for 2. Crimso bringing Agilities back late in the fight.
And Canada plays that smart. They just sit right outside of the point. They don't need to go in when Switzerland's controlling it. And then Agilities just sits in the back and just pokes and pokes and pokes until he gets a pick, and then they just move on in. The Pharah just provides so much splash damage. You see, the Reinhardt with the shield in the sky, maybe 7 there, just trying to block any rockets coming on in.
Oh, they're going to walk into an EMP.
Yeah, it's going to be a big
Oh,
one.
that's so nasty. Every one of Switzerland are hacked, unable to use their abilities. And now they're just being herded onto the point. It's much easier for Canada just to splash the damage over them. And that'll be it. The fact of the matter is, Matthew, this 3-3 composition that Switzerland are running ostensibly don't have the tools to deal with Sombra. Even if they know, they know Shawfall's hanging out behind them. They can't do anything about it because, you know, they can try and spy check, I guess, and spam a little bit with the Diva, and hopefully maybe when they do that, they can shield bash the Sombra and try and remove her while she's stunned, but that's it.
And even if the Pharah doesn't work, let's say, you know, the point flips back in favor of Switzerland, Agilities can just go over to Doomfist and you can get Nana in and get some damage out. It'll be a rocket barrage on the point there, Agilities. Put down some extra splash damage, he'll get a Diva D-Mac.
He probably just wants to get the D-Mac there. He doesn't expect too much more because Defense Matrix is going to mitigate so much of the damage from that barrage. But unfortunately, that's damage that Canada may have needed actually over the rest of the Switzerland bodies here because they've managed to weather the storm quite admirably. Canada is sent back. Now, a couple ultimates out of Canada there. You did see the barrage being used, but look at Agility's ult percentage. This is what you get when you're playing against a very closely clumped team of players. Very easy to get that damage.
I mean, Agility's right now sitting at 6,600 damage. Switzerland is a team at 6,900.
Right.
So you can see how much extra damage he's putting down. You do have this grab here, not going to use it. That's going to be,
Beautiful!
It's going to be an EMB plus a self-destruct. We've seen that combo a lot. I know, I was playing some games last night. They're just playing Sombra, just being able to coordinate with whether it's your Diva or your Reinhardt. You know, it's fairly easy to pull off this, as long as they have a mic, right? So you expect these teams to be able to do it with relative ease. I'm surprised we don't see Switzerland and Austria and some of these other teams came in and they're like, okay, the easiest composition we can play is to play 3 tanks, 3 supports. It's like, well, to coordinate an EMP plus one of these other ultimates isn't that hard either, and you just have a lot more versatility. I'm surprised you haven't seen them try it.
Barrage here is an option for Agilities. He does let it go. The Graviton Surge. XQC could up in the middle of that. Fortunately, due to primal range, he's able to hang on and stay alive. Drops in over the top. Crypto giving a little bit of healing as he goes, but Vanny's missing already here. Brought back to life, but Agilities actually takes himself down. So as fast as Canada are able to bring their players back, they're losing them here, and Switzerland put themselves in a good position. They spend a lot of ultimates in order to get into pole position for this next fight. But it's as much as you can hope for here. A sound barrier will go a long way for Switzerland. They need to get it off before Shawfall EMPs.
I was just going to say that. You don't know if they're even going to be able to get it off because they have to stay clumped so close together.
They need to be preemptive, right?
Well, especially if Agilities is putting down so much damage. You need all the healing you can get here from Remix and the rest of the supports.
Remix is playing the low ground here. He's actually trying to avoid getting hit by the EMP. He knows it's going to be coming, so stay out of harm's way. Now wall right up, hit the sound barrier, but it's too late. Agility's already found 2, 3, in fact, of course, with a knockoff. And you can see the idea there for Switzerland, Matt. They get themselves to 99, but they're nowhere to be seen, and Canada will retake control, and they're looking like they're going to claim the round. Lux is going to try and run it out here with the Tracer, but no, he's too far away. Not terrible for Switzerland at all, Matt. You can see what they're trying to do. I appreciate the presence of mind that Remix displayed, you know, avoiding that EMP, but he had a split second to get back to his team, and it was just too late.
It was the smart play to do. I mean, it's really the only play they could have done in that situation. Stay out of line of sight, and you see him come up there with that sound barrier. So much damage. You don't have to worry about the defense matrix when you have that rocket barrage there. The Diva can't fly at you because there's obviously none of her abilities are online, so you have nothing to worry about there if your Agilities. Just laying down all that damage with that rocket barrage, which usually you don't see rocket barrage gain a ton of kills. It's usually when you end up dying more often than not.
Yeah, and it is often because of Diva. 45% of his team's damage for Agilities. Agilities himself has more damage done than the entirety of the Switzerland roster combined right now. He's got 12.5k damage. Switzerland have about 11.8. That's a lot.
Yeah, Switzerland with a ton more healing, but that's obviously, you know, with the big bodies, the 3 supports, it's going to happen. They threw another tank in here, so we're going to see quad tank come out from Switzerland, which it's an odd decision because you give Shurfur more easy targets.
Oh, this is so nasty!
Yeah. Well, look, you give Shurfur more easy targets to just farm up his EMP. right? Sombra shooting big bodies, charges the ult faster, and then same with Agility's playing Pharah. Now you have Lux switching over to the Widowmaker here. Probably
You can't stay on this though, surely.
No, I don't think so. I thought he may just take a few shots out of the spawn at the swap.
Now, Matt, normally we see it at differing levels of play as well, that a Pharah on her own isn't really enough to, destroy this 3-3 comp. Sometimes the damage is just not sufficient, but here it seems to be, well, a big part of what is breaking Switzerland down to size.
I mean, they haven't really done anything to deal with the Pharah in the sky. Usually you see like a D.Va go up there and try and just push her back a little bit or do anything, but really haven't seen any response this Pharah. Now they're going to run a Pharah of their own here. At least Shinoda picking up the Pharah from Switzerland. Lux still on this Widowmaker. You can't really find these sight lines though.
No, I mean, Agility may not even have been aware that there was a Widowmaker. He might have tapped and checked at one point, but he hasn't been bothered by it. And that's the problem with Widow here, is that a Sombra, if you get a hack in there, or you find Widow without the grappling hook available, you can burst it down pretty fast. And there it is, Agility's now going to come forward a little bit more. Caduceus Blaster attempts here, and Lux does find the pick from spawn. There's only 9 health on the Pharah, so just a tap would have done the job, but you have to wonder if he stays in this pick.
Yeah, right before Surefour takes out Lux playing Widow, he actually gets a hack on Kiba, who's playing the D.Va. So D.Va potentially could have been near that Widow, not able to use the defense matrix, turn around, land a few headshots on that Widowmaker, who thinks they're probably going to be protected by the D.Va and doesn't even use the grapple to get out of harm's way.
I find this really interesting, Matthew. We're actually seeing a Genji here for Canada. Now, it doesn't really do much to Pharah in most cases. Perhaps that's just not the point. EMP making it all too easy for the rest of Canada to roll over the top. But what do you think? Is it the Genji just to shut the Widow down indefinitely?
Yeah, I think they want to get aggressive. I think they're not worried about the Widow really at all. And then I think that, the Pharah up in the sky, I think Note can really handle it. So I think you bring the Genji in, you can get really aggressive, you can take advantage of them trying to play this Widowmaker.
XQC there with a few really nice kills at the end with his Primal Rage just to close that fight out. Switzerland now coming back for another attempt. They do have the Transcendence in play, but they've already lost Mimi and Kiva's mech. They need that one back. They're going to do anything really here at all. The barrage for Shinoda is to no avail. And it's Lux on the point on Tracer. Kiva's there. Remix also. Just 3 players remaining here for Switzerland, and they do not have much damage to really offload. Agilities, though, has plenty. A shutout here in the second part of Ilios, and that's our first map done.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clean there for Team Canada. I know, you look at the damage overall done between the two teams. 41k for Canada. It's only 18k for Switzerland. When you're playing those heavy tanks and you have like a Reinhardt in there, Reinhardt's got to do a lot of the damage, right? And when you have like D.Va, Zarya, especially if you're not winning a lot of these fights, Zarya is not going to hold a ton of charge. And Mimi 7, they're just not able to stay alive long enough to be able to put down significant damage as Reinhardt. And that's why you see the disparity in damage so large. And
you mentioned as well that Agilities wasn't getting a lot of attention from Kiba on that D.Va. We talk about Pharah is not necessarily going to be enough in and of itself to deal with a 3-3 comp, but Agilities was connecting with a lot of those rockets and wasn't really being bothered at all. D.Va obviously can get up there. If you want to go away and you can put an Ana in place of the Moira in this composition, we're starting to see a little bit more of that. Switzerland could have done that and threatened them down, but when you've got a Pharah being pocketed by a Mercy, it can be very, very hard to deal with, even with hit-scan heroes, and that compromises your 3-3 approach entirely anyway.
Yeah, now Canada and USA, they've won a lot of these first maps. I think all of them. They've gone to basically King's Row every second map. I think it's probably where Switzerland will take them. King's Row.
Where else is this composition Switzerland want to run really shine?
Right, but it's so obvious at this point. And Canada and USA, you have great counters to it, so why just keep playing it over and over again?
That's it's difficult as well, Matthew, because, I mean, Canada, this map is everyone's bread and butter when it comes to Overwatch, right? So when this is your golden ticket as a team who's lost map 1, it's like, okay, we're going to go to King's Row because that's where it suits us better. You're still going up against a team who's played tons of King's Row. And it's not like a random pick that it's like, oh, this is like our home ground. We're really going to make this work. But this is what happens when you have 15 maps in the pool.
Well, it's also like when you have like whether it's a map pick or a map veto. Like I remember when I was coaching, it was like, oh, well, we're really good at this map. Let's pick this one. But it's like, well, everybody plays that, and everybody's pretty good at that map. Just try and pick a map that you can throw the other team off guard. Like, I'm surprised none of these teams like came in and it's like, okay, like, let's practice a map like Numbani the entire time. Like, really get really good at that and come in and pick it, right? Where some of these other teams, they probably expected everybody to come in, pick King's Row, and
that's also the difficulty as well, though, man. Is that you say to yourself, well, is that us preparing then to lose maps? Like, we're preparing to lose by You know, having this map pool, it's like, if you want to prepare to win, then you have to say, well, we could play any map.
Yeah, but they have to have one map that they can always fall back on for each game mode, right? Like whether
Kings Row maybe not the one.
Kings Row, everybody plays.
Yeah.
So it's kind of difficult to be like, okay, we have the advantage over these teams playing Kings Row because we believe our triple tank, triple support is just better, but it's clear that there have been counters to it.
Okay, this is an interesting setup here. So Canada with single support Mercy. So we are seeing a lot of Ana as that single support. It may be because Bunny needs to be able to access
Well,
that.
you have Note
okay, sorry.
playing Zen. So.
Okay, well, you know what? All the academic nature of this needs to probably be thrown out the window. So Crimson obviously on that Sombra, so you do have two supports there. Reasonable. Surefire on the Bastion. He loves to play it. We love to see it. And Canada will be playing around him.
Yeah, and they know they're going to jump right onto the point, so what looks like it's going to happen, they're going to run to the point. XQC is actually going to jump and probably knock them back into line of sight here.
On the point of Switzerland. Now, it's about not giving them a tick, so XQC has to contest in a huge numbers disadvantage if he wants to sort of prevent that from happening. Switzerland are very close, but they've backed off the point. They've noticed now there's something's up. Something's not quite right.
But even if Switzerland gets to the point, how are they dealing up with the Bastion up on the high ground? Is you see Surefour trying to get into turret mode there.
Bastion doesn't have a lot of shielding, right? So if their attention is going to be focused on Surefour, he'll need to move. Look at that, he's actually being pressured on the high ground here by Kiba. So now that D.Va started to get fairly busy. Mimi7 follows up with a fire strike to Surefour and charges agilities down. And Canada's strategy on this first point, I agree, it was ambitious. There's definitely, you know, a testing nature to it, but it doesn't pay off.
Yeah, Note on the Zenyatta, something we have not seen.
I mean,
ever
guys,
really.
He's got Transcendence. He's got about 30% of his team's damage.
I wonder how long they stay on this. As looks like Crimzo is going to play Ana now for Canada, but Surefour still rolls out here on the back.
Oh, I know what he's saying to his team. Guys, I almost have tank configuration. There's no way I'm switching right now. XQC to Reinhardt, obviously, which is customary. Winston really doesn't afford you a heck of a lot of value as a main tank in this part of the map, given just how straightforward it is. There's a bit of verticality, but most of the fighting happens boots on the ground. Here's that coalescence now. Switzerland agilities has Meteor Strike, so he can afford to get a little bit aggressive here. He can even eat that hook. He actually get a lot of shielding when he landed with Seismic Slam. On top of Shinoda, but he gets the shield. Mimi had his up as well. He will be forced back, and yes, the tank configuration that XQC and Co were waiting for Surefour to bring. Easy cleanup.
It's like you see Bastion in some of these games and you kind of just like laugh a little bit, but when you think about it, like Bastion as a character exists to play against comps like what Switzerland's running, right? Where you have, you know, large tanks that you just need to bow down, right? They can't hide behind the shield. You can just pump down a ton of damage. Like, that's why the Bastion exists. So it's
high damage, low mobility.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's just an archetype that's existed in many games before. But Surefour's a little bit troubled. He's going to back away and try and repair himself. The sound barrier gives Switz a little bit more durability. That's a big shatter from XQC though. That's going to make life very hard for Switzerland. And perhaps he predicted this last night. Okay, Surefour still on the Bastion because of course another tank configuration is just around the corner.
Yeah, you build it up so quick because there's so many large targets trying to come in. They do close the gap really fast, though, obviously, with the Lucio's speed boost. And Lux actually does hook Surefour in at the beginning of that fight, but he gets some help from XQC.
Oh, okay, Nano Booster Bastion now gets himself in the tank configuration, but he can't see the wood from the trees. Lux comes in with the whole hog. And Canada drawn into their demise. Agilities now obviously can reposition in a pinch with that Meteor Strike.
He's gonna spawn camp. He's gonna choose to spawn camp.
That's pretty tough. Scorpion's gonna hear the sound cue with that rocket punch charging up. He can just fade away if he really wants to.
He's looking for him.
Oh yeah, Scorpion fancies the 1v1. No, he just wants to hang out with his team. Respect it. Meanwhile, payload encroaching now towards the Foundry. Agilities is just trying to catch up in the backline here. May not even get here really in time. Surefour obviously interposes himself between Switzerland, but doesn't have an EMP, so he's very much just bluffing at this point. Earth Shatter for Mimi. Definitely wants to hit a big one here. Meteor Strike on top of him, though. That hurts. He's almost down to nothing. He does survive it thanks to the healing of Scorpion and Co, but Switzerland have to slow down a little bit here.
And let's see if XQC can block this shatter that's going to come through. He landed a really nice shatter before. That'll be a sleep dart that connects onto Zarya there. Shinoda sleeping on the ground, gets hit with a anti-grenade, that'll be the shatter, gets nothing.
That's tough when you queue up an Earth Shatter and then you get sort of knocked out of position. You can't decide sort of when it will actually activate. You need to wait till you hit the ground. Sound barrier now for Canada. They see Switzerland trying to get a bit aggressive. They're going to turn it back in their favor. Both teams using those Lucio ultimates. And XQC's looking for another Earth Shatter. Big fire strike. He has it all charged up. not willing to use it here as a fight is all but won already for Canada.
And Note builds up this Graviton Surge so fast, Mitch. About a minute to get this big Zarya ultimate.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that'll be Kiba.
He's tying his shoelaces, guys.
Yeah.
Relax.
But
Just happened to be right where Kiba was.
they used the nano boost on the Note during that fight, and his damage and ultimate charge just went through the roof there.
You can see there, at the start of that fight for Switzerland, Mimi 7 obviously went to shield Shinoda, his Zarya, right? The problem with that is that it means that your Zarya has to sleep for the entire duration. You kind of like, oh, maybe he'll take a little bit of splash damage and wake up immediately. They kind of put them out of sync a little bit at the start of that fight, and Note, this is fun. We haven't seen much of his Zarya. Obviously, most of the time it was Kalios on that old Boston roster that showed this one off, but we know this guy is capable of it now. Swinging through the Graviton was XQC. Note's there with the follow-up damage, and Lux is trying to push forward to find a pick, maybe. But XQC's having none of it.
You see, once the Doomfist starts landing some of these moves, how large his health pool gets. Get up to about 400 HP. Agilities is almost at the max there, like 370. And then he kind of becomes another tank, right? You kind of put him in this equation. You throw like a nano boost on him, right? He's tough to take down.
And the thing is that he can continue to get more shield, right? As his abilities connect, you're generating more shields. As long as you're active in the fight, you're being rewarded for it. Agility's dropped in, Seismic Slam's actually shielded off. Good time from Shinoda to protect his teammate. But Agilities is still so safe. That sound barrier now for Canada gives them so much room to breathe. Scorpion just tried to get it over with quickly, and Note has another grab. Canada are cycling ultimates right now. They're using things like Nano Boost to give the recipient a heck of a lot of damage and hence ult charge. So Note has the fight-winning ultimate next time around, and Switzerland don't really have an answer.
And Lux will play Tracer here. They're going to play Diva Ryan with a Tracer at this point of the map, going with a triple support, which is quite odd.
Try to eat the grab, maybe?
Shinoda was at like a 2-minute charge time, and his grab Note is less than a minute, 50 seconds right now.
Self-destruct. Oh, XQC's get charging away. Actually doesn't get taken down by that one. It was a good bio nade coming out there from Crimso. Really cut Switzerland off at the knees, and they're not going to get much further at all now. Another bio nade out from Crimso, and Mimi 7 goes for an Earth Shatter, but again, nothing but a statement at this stage because Canada lock it up here on the streets phase.
I think the Doomfist is a real strong pick there for Canada. We showed a graphic yesterday. Canada and USA playing about
30%.
30% of the time they're running Doomfist, and everybody else here at the Burbank group stage playing about 1%. I feel like he's in such a good spot as a hero, especially with these tanks coming through, right? He can just get so much value with a lot of his abilities. It's kind of crazy not to run him. He can combo with so many other heroes as well.
I think it's a good indicator that teams like Canada and the USA are ahead of the curve globally, in terms of their understanding of the game and sort of what's the most effective approach right now. Also, I mean, in all fairness, Canada have like 80% Sombra usage as opposed to very little amongst other teams. I think the US had 10.
Well, you think about Doomfist as a character, right? With a lot of Ryan Zarya, he combos good with them. And what's one of his weaknesses? I think Doomfist is closing the gap between other heroes and himself, where we don't see as much Widowmaker, we don't see as much Hanzo, so some of that long-range DPS out of the equation. Lucia with speed back in. So I think
a lot of healing that you can just sort of subsist through poke damage as you approach the enemy team.
So it makes a ton of sense that he's in, he's viable, he's doing well. Canada's come. Talk about making sense. Doesn't make a ton of it.
No.
But
again.
Look,
you know what they're trying to do.
Yeah, they're going to try and use the teleporter ability as Symmetra, try and get up to the high ground.
Great ability. I do right.
Use the Bastion up on the high ground. You got XQC playing the Orisa, be able to vault some people up. Remix, living up to his name.
Orisa probably one of XQC's least played main tanks, although you do see it fairly often. He will go for it, on things like Nepal Sanctum and stuff like that. Essentially, his job, Matt, is to walk through that TP and protect his buddy Shaw for keep him alive. Crimso, Hanzo, I'm here for it. That's fine.
What is the call out from Lux here? He's just rolling out of the spawn.
Guys, I try to play Sombra. I'm trying to do what everyone else is doing. The stuff that works, and they just play Bastion against me. It's not fair. All right, here's the setup. Shinoda gets caught out. He already used his deflect. Shortfall gets caught, though. Nice bio-nade from downtown.
So I think the issue is Canada thought they were going to go into the top of the hotel and use the teleporter, and Agilities had put it down by the choke, and XQC actually doesn't make it through the teleporter before the teleporter gets eliminated there.
A couple problems with that. Orisa doesn't fly or jump or run or really do anything but very standard locomotion. So you kind of want her to be there. You can't really drop down a rope ladder or get your Rapunzel on. You know?
So Canada will change off this right away. Okay. We get to see Sherp play McCree here. Triple support.
Oh, wow.
McCree, and that's a fast kill.
Yeah, I mean, Kiba was already demeched, I think, was the issue. That was just the result of the previous fight. So he was jumped on very quickly. Insta pick off. Shortfall got a lot of space here. Wants to push forward to get slightly aggressive. Sees Primal Rage, and that still doesn't bother him. Gets the flash. He's going to bail his teammate Crimzo out of trouble. Whereas Switzerland, they are highly up on this high ground, essentially, Matt. They've lost a lot of players. They're very split in their setup here. And they might just have to give this hand over fist to Canada.
Yeah, Remix sitting on the high ground there with Scorpion. Weren't able to do much there. They did use their nano boost on the Mimi 7. You were able to jump on Bonnie right away, but after that, got nothing for it. As Lux is still here behind enemy lines here, playing Sombra for Switzerland. See if he's able to get a hack on the Surefour. But even if he does, he's getting pocketed by Bonnie. You got Crimzo there as well.
Yeah, again, there's always the risk of a flash. Very quick 180 flash from Surefour. Okay, so he does find Crimzo. So the time Lux spent in the back line has yielded the result. XQC almost goes down. He leaves the front line because he was taking so much damage and sees another threat in his back line. This will slow Canada up a little bit. Lux has EMP, so that's something that Switzerland need to be playing in concert with.
They can't use all these ultimates, though. Here's going to be the EMP. They're going to use Dragon Blade as well.
You say that, Car.
Yeah,
they do.
Yeah, they'll win this fight, though, but look at what they just set up. So they use their EMP, they use their Blade.
They're not going to win this fight even.
And then...
Shortfall's got 3. He's looking for more now as well. Crimzo chasing Scorpion down and Switzerland maybe not knowing when to get out.
How do you lose that? I mean, I guess it happens, but... You know, Surefour will have a Deadeye. This is what they set up for Canada. Now they have all of these ultimates used
This
here.
is how you lose that, by the way.
You just don't look at the McCree?
No. Well, you try to with your Genji with 10 health, and unfortunately not much you can do. Look at all the space he's got. Easy as you like. Potentially the last stanza of this particular bit of poetry as we approach the final point. What do they got, Matt? Well, I'll tell you what, they got a sound barrier. Shinoda's very low. He had to dash out, so we won't be able to join Mimi in the fight for a while. Surefour manages to get the finish off there. XQC tries to avoid that self-destruct. He does. He gets around the corner. Surefour, yeah, a little bit too close to the Angry Monkey Man. That's a 1-for-1 trade over this fight. But with Surefour back, Crimzo's ready to hit that Transcendence to take them home.
Yeah, you got XQC with a Primal Rage. As he pushes on in, they'll use the Transcendence here. Nope, with the self-destruct over the top. But Surefour still dominating on this McCree. That'll be 2 kills to put it away for Canada. They take map number 2, and you know, the one fight that Switzerland should have won there when they were at the choke, and we saw from Surefour's perspective, the McCree is the easiest dive target there, and you're playing Winston, Sombra, Genji, and you're trying to take down the tanks and just letting the McCree shoot from range. If they would have dove the McCree, the tanks would have had to come back to heal for the McCree anyway. You would have gotten everybody, but it's just not great calling there from Switzerland.
You could see McCree's strengths in the mid to late fight really shine when he was sitting in the back line, had a little bit of room to breathe, was able just to take shots. I see you. I see you there. That's caught on quite a lot, that particular pose. But, you know, you can leave the McCree around, and yeah. And then, obviously, you know, late fight, your cooldowns aren't there, so your gap close abilities aren't necessarily available. Let's head over to the floor with Punker and get some words from the Swiss head coach, Shin.
Thank you so much. That's right. Give it up for Max, a.k.a. Shino here from Switzerland. Now, you've known these players for a while. You know these guys very well, and they've been playing against each other in the Swiss leagues. What is it like now playing up against Team Canada, which was made of fully Overwatch League talent in the previous year?
Wow, that's full different level. It's awesome, huge experience. Yeah, it's crazy.
And what's been the best part of this experience for your team throughout the 3 days?
Well, visiting LA, seeing like pro players, meeting the staff. Thank you, Blizzard, for all of this. It's awesome.
I love it. I love it. We love having you guys out here. You've been in great spirits despite some of the early losses. Let's talk about the second half, because in the halftime, you'll get a chance to talk with the players and figure out some goals moving into Game 3. Who's been causing the most trouble from Team Canada so far?
Well, obviously, Sombra is kind of OP right now, and Surefour is really good on her, so he's scouting every move. So, yeah, Surefour probably.
Lane Roberts, that naughty troll. All right, well, I know you got to get back to your team. One last thing before you go. Anything you want to say to your countrymen who are cheering you on back in Switzerland?
Well, thanks to be here it's really good to have like local crowd like cheering for us, and easy reverse sweep, right?
Easy reverse sweep. It's going to game 5, guys. We'll find out if they can pull it off on the other half of this match. We'll be right back. The Overwatch World Cup is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC of the Overwatch World Cup, and by T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever.
In the Overwatch League, you're hyping up the chat, taking your team to hashtag trending, and spreading memes at tracer level speed.
All while watching us cap the point.
Speed like that deserves a network that can keep up. With T-Mobile, get all the Overwatch League you can handle with coast-to-coast coverage. Now your arena is where you make it.
Great to be back here, ladies and gentlemen, at the Blizzard Arena, where two teams from countries known for their breakfast condiments are now bashing it out. Canada, of course, trying to get themselves set up for that last game of the day against the US. But Switzerland, we've seen some good stuff from them. Some of their responses, but it definitely seems like overall their understanding of just how to play around Canada is not quite complete.
Yeah, look, I think you've seen some really nice things, like you said, from Switzerland. I think their target selection at times, like we saw at the end of King's Row, where you allowed Surfboard to just kill 4 players and use all your ultimates, probably not ideal. I think...
well, you said they can't use all their ultimates here, and they did.
Yeah, I think that's been the theme that we've seen from a lot of these teams, that they feel...
Oh, it's Helve.
Yeah, Helve will come in for Mimi7 at the main tank position. We heard a lot of positive things about him coming into the weekend. I know the one player they felt really strong about. They, the official pose of subs here at the Overwatch World Cup. Burbank stop. Hey, there you go.
Sweet.
There's a little wave. But I think that's the theme that you've seen from you know, Switzerland, not as so much Brazil, like Austria and whatnot. That like they feel like to close out like USA and Canada, they have to use so many ultimates, and they'll use them. They win that fight, but then they don't give them themselves a chance in any of the next coming fights, because Canada and USA, they're so smart where they realize, like, okay, they have no more ultimates left. Let's not use all of ours. So they use like 2, they win a fight.
Well,
they use 2, win a fight.
I find that so interesting is that they're clearly tracking odds.
Yeah.
Because I could see Switzerland players tracking these ultimates. Like, for example, staying Diva Ryan when they know they're going to be walking to a grab next fight. You know, the Lucio backing away knowing there's going to be an EMP coming. So that, like, at least they're sort of aware of the key ultimates that are going to be there to play around.
They know, but when you feel like you're outmatched a little bit and you have these ultimates, it's hard not to just start throwing them out there to get a fight win, right? It'll be a Horizon Lunar Colony.
I mean, this will be a test for them in that sense, Matt. Like, this is a map that is heavily governed by your ultimate economy, especially when we start to get later on in the round. So it's something to be bearing in mind, I think, you know, going forward. It's definitely something we're going to continue to question, I think, on the side of Switzerland. Helv obviously coming in as this main tank. One thing I've loved about the World Cup, a bunch of, obviously, of course, of seeing our Overwatch League friends, but also there's some really fantastic young players. I mean,
yeah.
Decod almost abducted Eclipse. We almost never would have seen him again. But you know, even Helv as well. And the Swiss team is really interesting. I don't know if Hex mentioned this. He is our resident Swiss expert, but
It's true.
in Switzerland, like, you could be speaking one of 3, even 4 different languages, right? Depending on which part of the country you're from. It's not even a big country. It could be the German part or the French part or the Italian part. So this team communicates in English because you have a couple players that are from the sort of the French part of Switzerland, and obviously they speak much more French, and then the others more so German. So yeah, they kind of all speak in English, which is great for a chat, but you know, definitely challenging for some of them.
Yeah, and a lot of their players come from, you know, the top team in Switzerland, where
Yes.
they were telling us, like, you know, in our main league there, where obviously it's only players from Switzerland, they haven't lost like a game all year.
It's the same as, you know, Brazil Gaming House. There's that same issue. It's like, yeah, we're dominating our region, but in Europe you think it's a bit easier maybe to break outside of your country and get more games in, but so far relatively unsuccessful, as you could say also for this push here. Shinoda trying to get the setup there with Symmetra, trying to get him probably just onto the point. And we saw this yesterday, Matt, and it didn't really work out.
Yeah, you can try it up to the high ground as well, potentially do this. Crimzo, we haven't really talked about Canada, playing the Torbjorn here, so you're going to have the Torbjorn Orisa Junkrat combination. They try and dive this up top. If they do switch to a dive, they're going to get just blown up with so much damage. Bonnie being the solo support on Ana here. You do get some healing from Sherfor with the Biotic Field, but
You don't count on that,
ideal.
right? Yeah. So it's just more that he's much more self-sufficient, right? Unless he positions himself really poorly, he should be okay. And Soldier, you know, up against this kind of composition, there's a few shields in the way, but there's no Diva. So Diva was a hero that really shut down Soldier 76 and made his life very difficult. Defense matrix duration now being much reduced since that era of the game. And Soldier can get a lot done with Attack Visor as well here. It is a tanky lineup though, so Soldier spent a lot of time just trying to nail people with these shots. Banny, 6 seconds before he has a buy grenade, but he won't have to wait for it because it's 3 from Agilities with a Riptire. And again, Junkrat, the antithesis to the 3-3 composition on this map. They clump so close together. Easy to charge up, and there it is. Crimzo gets the hammer kill on Lux. Canada, very pleased with that.
What is it with Torbjorn players obsessed with hammer kills?
I mean, you can ask Brent. He's in, I think he's across the wall from us right now. I mean, you could ask a lot of people, but it is very difficult to achieve. Get him with the hammer! It is hard to achieve. I believe that's the point. And, you know, styling. Just styling, as Semble would say.
Yeah, something we didn't bring up when we talked about Soldier 76 is him and McCree, even bashing, get a little bit of a buff. As of late, their damage fall-off is increased, so they do more damage at a longer range now.
Yeah, they
so,
decrease the fall-off, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a nice feeling, you know, for guys that are stuck with hit scan.
You can notice it too when you play them. You can notice that damage. It still pumps that range.
Oh, hell, yeah. Couldn't get away from that one. Scorpion actually fell to the same one, and Agility's holding his own literally in this side room.
Another tire.
It's bad news. I mean, and look, we've seen this. A good example of, I guess, this occurring in the Overwatch League was the San Francisco Shock playing attack on this map. Also had a lot of problems with, you know, getting to the point quickly without feeding an enemy Junkrat, that Riptide very early on. So that's been a difficulty that's been experienced by players at all levels of the game.
He'll be able to Riptire.
Slurping it, half health, doesn't matter, still 2 kills.
And the thing is that Coalescence will not save them from that. The sound barrier will, but then all Canada will do is they'll use like a Molten Core supercharger on top of the tire, and that'll be all.
And Agility's probably the next fight. Canada have so many ultimates. Agility's will have his Riptire again for the one after that, if they're in this time. 50 seconds remain on the clock for Switzerland now, and it really is time to stand and deliver. Widowmaker pick for Luxie. Now, we saw the Seoul Dynasty try this with Jaehong on attack. Didn't look great. There's a big Orisa shield in the way.
Yeah, and Orisa has a great shield of time. Note with the defense matrix as well. Let's see how they use this Widowmaker to try and get a pick. They don't even have a lot of damage to break the shield without the Widowmaker, right? So XQC should just be able to recharge this constantly.
Okay, they're up onto the high ground now. Crimso just nervously hovering over the Molten Core ability. Shortfall gets shattered, but off the high ground, that actually kind of works in his favor. He did get nano boosted though, so much of that tactical visor really doesn't get used. He's put out of the picture. Kiba, nice! That's a double with that self-destruct. No, and XQC it down. But Crimso, he's back in with the hammer. Still wanted to use the hammer, apparently. Didn't find anything with it. Molten Core came out. Didn't really get anything with that either, but it could be trouble for Kiba here. There's two players trying to deal with. The Diva is demet. Canada move back onto the point. Helv now rushing in there on the hammer just to try and stay there. The point finally captured, I think, is Canada. No, they're going to come back in again. Bardic field for Shortfall keeps him going. The Hammond's down. Now they need to get Luxus Shinoda there. It's an instant delete from the Doomfist, but he's very low. Hit scan is pretty tough to deal with, but he gets the finish on Shortfall. Barney returns to the fight now, and that's going to be it. Canada hold off Switzerland. And credit to them with, you know, a 76 and an armor.
Yeah, it was a big brain play there, though, from Sharfor and Agilities. They knew the percentage on the capture point was enough where they could back out, give a few seconds up, because then you had Bonnie coming back and you had Crimso coming back as well, which turns it into a 4-on-2. You give the offense an opportunity to come back as well, but with two players just dropping, the max they come back with is 4. You take your chances in what could have been a 4-on-4 fight in that situation.
I like it. Canada definitely, just seeing how far they can stretch their capability. Quite often you see teams in that scenario maybe just sort of give up the point, but it was Kiba versus Agilities and Shortfall on the point at that stage. And this all happened because Shortfall got earth-shattered on the high ground, but knocked off of the high ground.
Yeah,
and he was actually able to survive that. He was still alive, didn't get caught in any of the extra damage.
So we'll see if this is something that Canada decides to do. Node on main tank, XQC on off tank. XQC does play a decent amount of Zarya on his stream, so it's a hero he can definitely play. We haven't seen Note play any main tank, but sure he could pick it up.
I think they can. I mean, at this point, if we sit here and tell you there's an academic reason for this, it's probably pretty disingenuous.
No.
Canada are definitely just trying some stuff out here, so.
They're having some fun. They're playing they're playing comps that do make sense, but just kind of changing the roles up a little bit. So,
which if you use Occam's razor to try and explain your setups, that obviously this wouldn't make sense. But they have the comp. Obviously, we've seen Agilities play Lucio to great effect on Rialto on day 1. So Canada shouldn't be too much of an issue. Switzerland really need to try and batten the hatches down and tighten up some elements of their gameplay here, because they have to hold Canada off this first point entirely. This needs to be clean as a whistle.
If I would have told you the play you'll see on repeat the most after this event was a Agilities Lucio highlight, what would you have imagined it was?
I would have told you to go back to bed. Stop raiding at 4 a.m. in the evening.
Hey, boss has got to die.
Yeah, so they say. Right, so teleporter play here, Matt. Maybe they just try and cross the high ground. Maybe it depends how they're feeling. They could actually just try and plonk a teleporter behind this Orisa shield. Oh, that translocator got eaten. Oh, sorry, that was a Bionade, should I say, from Crimso. It might have hit the shield anyway. I just expect to see Shortfall in that Sombra now.
Agilities is right arm, just getting pummeled with damage. XQC takes a big shot there as Lux.
There it is, the TP's there, they're going for it! Face to face,
he tried to charge through it, I think.
Shinoda quickly bursts down the teleporter, and it actually leaves a couple members of Canada kind of stranded behind enemy lines. So that didn't work. Okay. Where did we come from? How is he still alive?
He's asleep.
Okay.
XQC just killed himself somehow.
I think it was a right click. He would have killed himself with a right click damage. Maybe it was just too low. Maybe he was out of position. You know what?
Canada's switching off of this.
Okay. Back to the drawing board. Fortunately, their fallback plan is kind of the one that's been winning them all these maps anyway. So we'll have XQC back on the Winston Shore on the Sombra, which is kind of what we expect to see. Agility's on the Genji, and there it is. XQC straight in with a nano boost here. Great way to build up that first Primal Rage after just switching to Winston. Often the loss of ult economy when switching heroes is kind of a deterrent for changing your approach up. Shinoda goes for a Riptire at point blank range. XQC, he's looking at it, he's like,
oh, come on.
Yeah, Shinoda's trying to protect himself, right? With his own Riptire, but sure, XQC jumps over the top of it, and Shorefall kills the tire in the meantime. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you win or you learn.
The reverse sweep will
Switzerland
not
just
happen.
learns a lot.
No reverse sweep.
No, that's definitely off the table at this point, unfortunately. Despite what Shin would have us believe. And yeah, not a long map, obviously, because Switzerland had difficulty capturing that first point, which, like we said, it is the hardest first point to capture. At least it was for quite some time, as evidenced in the Overwatch League. So very difficult to push into a team as you know, skilled as Canada, as experienced as well, playing around this very tight rope scenarios.
Yeah, they had a tough.
Yes, Lane.
Yep, the boop. No XCC getting in there in the back, but they had a tough time, Switzerland, playing around the Torbjorn play of Crimzo. I think is Torb. You know, we don't really talk about dominant Torbs too often, but it was pretty strong there. The Torb plus the Junkrat of agilities. Seems like they always had a Riptire available. They would use a tire, they'd get two, they'd save onto a bunch of ults, and then you know, the one time that Switzerland actually made a good push towards the point, you think it almost kind of fell apart when Surefour fell off the side and he was able to stay alive.
Yeah, it actually benefited him in a big way.
Yeah, if he ends up staying up on top of that high ground, it doesn't get pushed off with the low ground, they probably take him out, and then it's just agilities and like a 1-on-3 there, so they probably would have taken that first point.
And he's trying to deal with a D.Va as a Junkrat, which obviously if defense matrix timing is good, it's kind of hard for him to find the damage he needs. Obviously, you know, a lot of Junkrats get caught out because D.Vas run at them with the defense matrix. They try and throw a mine down to jump away, and he gets eaten up. Regardless, that wasn't the case, and it was all smooth sailing for Team Canada. And we're getting queued up with our next map in just a moment. So obviously, definitely a lot to work on here for Team Switzerland. I feel like the Widowmaker pick obviously didn't yield them too many results. The fact of the matter is, when you struggle that much on attack, you just really don't give yourself any margin of error on defense. It's one lost fight, it's all over. Whereas Canada, you know, got to try a couple of things. We saw them, you know, go with you know, that cheeky sort of Symmetra teleporter play, then switching back to a standard composition and winning out.
I do feel like for Switzerland, you know, when we spoke to Brazil, they talked a little bit about their experience last year, and I'm sure this year will be much the same, is that they're like, oh, you know, we didn't do great, but when we went home, after spending time here and scrimming the teams here, they were like just destroying everybody. I'm sure Switzerland will go home and learn a ton from playing these teams here, and they'll be even stronger in their home league.
Kind of makes you wonder though, doesn't it? How long do you stay at that level at your home league? It's like you kind of want to get out as much as you can until so you don't want to stagnate to sort of that level. Gibraltar is going to be the final map of this particular series, and a map that really, you know, that 3-3 composition that Switzerland's been trying to run is not really valid here whatsoever. Doesn't really work. A couple parts of this map you can make it happen. Reinhardt can come in on that last stage, but really, they probably have to go for something a little bit different here.
Another good Torbjorn map. Canada could play it yet again. You don't usually hear that too often, but look, Torb on first point has a lot of. Remember when Symmetra was like really good on first point and then like just didn't really see any type of play?
Car wash.
I feel like Torb is the same way. Like there are some point A's where he's like really strong at, like against uncoordinated teams, like against teams who kind of know how to go against it, like they'll beat it, but that Torb can really be like an annoyance to teams.
But like I said, it functions effectively as the 7th man. You know, if you're not sort of dealing with it. Does decent damage. It's good at finishing off kills, especially if you place it in a random spot like this.
It's hard because you can't ignore the turret, but then you can't focus the turret at the same time. Like if you focus the turret, you'll die to everybody else. If you just let the turret just stand there and just pump you with damage, like it's enough damage to put like a team over the edge of a close fight.
Did you know Reinhardt can actually stun the turret up after charging it? He can also do it to a Molten Core turret. If you charge into a Molten Core turret, you'll stun it for 3 seconds, I think? Or a couple, well, no, not 3 seconds, a couple seconds, and won't fire during that duration. So you can CC it.
Ways.
Correct, but Molten Core turrets are pretty scary,
yeah.
Right? There are ways around it, right? You just don't really want to ever have to deal with it at all if you can help it. Canada playing really far back here, not aggressive. I think it would be clear to say that they're playing around this Torbjorn turret. That is that is a concave barrier there.
Noted actually caught Shinoda off alone there. He does get a res, but it forces everybody on Switzerland to back up, rotate around to the other side.
All right, no drops down. Oh, what's going on in here? Hey! You're supposed to be playing against us, not playing patty cake. Again, just break the shield down here. No, a lot of confidence, being healed up a lot of the time. Vulnerable for a car. Oh no! Up the stairs! Oh, the humanity!
You see his face?
That's not supposed to happen at all!
That is too good. He's completely shocked, but actually watching it on the minimap, the players actually didn't expect that at all. Because it comes all the way up the stairs, and I'm watching the minimap, and I see Scorpion just sitting at the top of the stairs, so he's healing his tanks, and then all of a sudden this thing just comes flying at him.
Well, actually, this happens. If you fire, like, the mech can even travel up vertical walls as well. If you fire the mech at a slight angle, Poco showed me this in his stream, you fire this at a slight angle, and if the mech has far enough to travel, it'll actually travel up and over a wall.
Like, flips over.
Yeah, it's super cheeky. Keeper trying to get there, burst out pretty much immediately there. Barney just going to try and huddle behind the shield as much as he can, but that's a nano-boosted Winston, I believe, so he just tries to get away. Riptire in. Now, where do you send this? Agility's is like, well, I don't really know where they are, but oh, here's 2 supports. I'll get one of them at least. Remix is down.
And I will say, I know we talked about Switzerland's support core at the beginning. You know, they've done a nice job in this series, like staying alive. Like they haven't necessarily like been like the first picks in a lot of these fights. They've done a nice job building their ultimates. They haven't really play too badly. It's hard though as a support player to really but when the game is as one-sided as it may look, it's hard for the support players, even when you're not dying and you're kind of playing the right way, to really kind of get your team over.
Matt, is there a reason for the shield being placed backwards like that?
You know, I was trying to think of a reason you would put it that way. Like put it.
I'm not sure if it gives you extra protection or either way. Maybe someone will tell us. All right, so we Primal Rage here now for Hell. On that Winston, he gets burst down awful fast, of course. Molten Core is it's a heck of an ability. Crimso this time doesn't opt to descend down and try and, you know, drop the hammer. He's more than happy just to sit up here and Surefall will take that shot. And this is the problem for Switzerland. Now, you think you think they're sort of on the right track, right? Try and get through the server room, get up onto the high ground, try and face them there. The problem with that last fight is they lost their diva before they even got there. So you might even get to see that, you know, attempted again. Surefall's got so much space, like he doesn't even have to move.
They did end up using your Molten Core and your Nano Boost there. So Scorpion should get a Nano Boost during this fight. Maybe you can get a big play with an EMP plus a Blade, as that's going to be the EMP with the Self-Destruct. That's going to be 1 kill there. Agilities will fall to that. They do get the Torbjorn turret.
Oh, no, gets Shinoda, but Lux and Helve still turn up. No, Crimso going down. So now it's just Bunny and XQC trying to hold the fort. And they can't really approach the payload there, so XQC and Co will have to pull out here. The Orisa won't get too much more value for Canada. Probably see XQC make the switch in just a moment here. Surefall just wants to duel out. He got a bad spawn, and he figured he'd try and get a kill before he left.
Now Canada's going to run something pretty similar to what they've done, but that was a good combination of ultimates from Switzerland. They were able to use it. Take the high ground there. I know he did get one with the self-destruct, and Shinoda trying to push through with his Blade, push enough players back, did enough damage to make the impact.
It definitely wasn't as nuanced the strategy as like take the server room, move up the high ground, but they required less moving parts because they had those ultimates and they managed to put them together well. So credit where it's due. Kiba gets desuited here. He'd love someone to try and remove him. We'll have his wish in just a moment now as XQC jumps on top. And Canada now have more high ground to work from. Switzerland now another situation where they do need to play from an altitude deficit, is the best way I can put it. Maybe they could try and take the high grade here a little bit. They do have that Sombra still in the mix. Plenty of verticality amongst their roster of heroes. Scorpion just needs to be careful that Agilities doesn't come hunting for him.
Looking at some of Lux's Sombra stats right now, did a nice shot with that EMP, connected with 4 players. Only 2 players hacked outside of that. I feel like hack gives you so much value. XQC will get the Nano Boost. You got to get a few more hacks than that, right? You can take a player's abilities offline. Even without the EMP, you sneak up behind, let's say, Agilities, right? That can prevent Agilities doing this, just running through your team with all these Doomfist abilities. Sombra really strong against Doomfist.
Yeah, the tough part for Switzerland is that Canada are just coming in one at a time. It's everyone at once. And XQC, really nice body block on that doorway earlier on. Kept both tanks for Switzerland inside.
We actually saw this strategy come out from the Los Angeles Gladiators during the regular season. I remember Monkey Doa casting a game where they had Hydration sitting up on the high ground as Doomfist here on Gibraltar, and then they were able to put Surefall up here on the Widowmaker. It was so difficult to get through those doors because you have the Winston on one side body blocking.
You cover them all.
Yeah, the Doomfist on the other, and they're so fast, both of those heroes, that they're able to just turn and just get to the low ground and do some damage there. So You kind of see, it's interesting. You think all the way back to Overwatch League, right? This is a strategy we saw some teams use, specifically the Gladiators, which featured Surefour use during the regular season.
So this door is covered. The one below Surefour is currently being eyed off by XQC. Agilities is on the right-hand side. So between all that, plus Vanny, Crimzo, and the rest is just on Overlook. Super hard to answer that. Now, this is what happens when a Doomfist is hacked. We haven't seen it much this map, but it makes it pretty frustrating to play. You can't do a heck of a lot. The hack expires, though, when he gets the Meteor Strike. Scorpion, no! It's turned into jam. And there it is, Canada. Another strong defensive showing here on Gibraltar. The Swiss advance no further in the shuttle phase.
And that's a tough one. The EMP was good. It connected with 3 players who just didn't get Crimzo, who had his Transcendent. So you weren't able to finish any of those hack players off. And then Agilities uses the Meteor Strike once he gets all his abilities back online and just able to win that fight. Stop any payload progress there from Switzerland. They do complete point A, though. They were able to break that to everyone's setup. Just difficult breaking that point B.
Canada was able to output about twice the amount of damage that Switzerland were able to achieve there, and kind of stands to reason that Canada were nicely set up there and had the high ground control. This is definitely a lesson, in multiple respects for Switzerland. Canada aren't quite done yet. Be on the attack in just a moment here. Vanny just hanging on by the skin of his teeth. And look at that little adjustment at the end. Now, and a sleep dart actually on the LAN client here and at home. Obviously, the lag time between you firing the shot is a little bit different. So I've spoken to some people who've come across and sort of played on LAN. And they said, I believe we were speaking to the Swiss team, and they said, no, it was IPN.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, like you don't have as much lead as you normally do online, or you need to lead more online. So it's trickier to hit on this client.
It's funny how Crum said the same thing after the talent takedown. Yeah. He was playing a decent amount of Ana. But I was thinking it's great to see a lot of the supports that we saw during the Overwatch League, during the Overwatch World Cup. During Overwatch League, we saw so much, Zen Mercy, and we never really got to see Bonnie play so many different. Came out of nowhere. We didn't get to see Bonnie play really, any Ana or not as much Lucio, right? They would play Boink in certain situations on Lucio. So it's really nice that you get to see Raucus play some Ana again. It's really nice to see the support players be able to show off their versatility yet again with all the supports in the meta now.
And that's as they would have wanted to do, right? The Overwatch League was just. You get in there, you play your very best. Okay.
The double shield, double pirate ship strategy.
So
this is very effective.
What it lacks in subtlety, it has in efficiency. A lot of damage here. XQC will.
A tough time here again.
Yeah. I mean, the card is moving in all fairness. So he has to turn his back. Note obviously also sort of sat in the back here. Now, Switzerland are dropping down inside the choke here. So bubble put down, but that's now expired and health just gets pasted up against the wall. Crimzo and Note are both down though. So Lux and Schnoder have done a good job of picking off those crucial targets. Bunny would love to get a resurrect here, but actually, can't just keep rolling with this Bastion. He's about to get shield bash here. It's not going to be pretty. No, Schnoder doesn't quite get there. It's a trade. Now we can move away from this whole Bastion thing, I think. I think we can move past that. Yep. But it is Surefour, and he does like to use his tank configuration.
No, I think the issue is the Torb. I think they may come back and try this one more time here.
How is it there? What do you mean? As in, it meant that you didn't have the Diva, or the Torb was a...
No, you needed the Ana, so when they dove onto the turret, you just throw the grenade down, the biotic grenade down at the feet, deny them all that healing coming in, and then keep the Bastion topped up.
The server room now. XQC charging away, Surefour once again in position. So Switzerland now, they have the advantage of kind of knowing that Canada don't have mobility. So they can try and outmaneuver them, encircle them, get to Surefour. But he has tank configuration now as well, so that might even backfire on them. Lux, fortunate to be alive. I think a halt was even employed by Canada to try and hold him in position. And Remix is down there, lost their mercy already. Note just goes in, it takes what he wants.
Well, they have Note pushing the high ground, and then XQC just pushing the cart here, and it's like, who do you focus during this?
Well, XQC gets himself a nano boost there, and so Shinoda just crumples as he swings in with the energized hammer. Primer range for Hell. XQC, that's like super heavyweight class kind of fight. Unfortunately, Hell jumping up into the air, left the payload and gave Canada that point.
A few more kills come through for Canada. A lot of players getting that forward spawn here from Switzerland.
You're trying to take the fight to Felix, you're trying to get chaotic, but you gotta understand that this guy was born and molded, raised in that sort of environment. His stream is like an assault on the senses. Light, sound, action. Would love a situation like that, getting aggressive, but
It's the far the right play here, going up against Note's Diva, and then you also have the Bastion play. Because Bastion, like we mentioned with Soldier 76, gets that damage fall off as well.
it's not great, especially now because you still need to deal with the Bastion, right? The Pharah doesn't really answer that at all, especially now with an Orisa shield in front. Help, duck and cover, covering your eyes will not prevent you from being vaporized by that self-destruct, and that's it. Canada, rather efficiently, to be honest, dispatch of Switzerland here. And one of their final hurdles before they face their last game of the day, and of course, their rival in the United States.
And you can tell Canada really wanted to get this 4-0, wanted to go in, and without a map loss to that final match against USA, where they did try some fun stuff, some stuff with Symmetra, Torbjorn, Bastion at times, but as soon as it didn't work, they switched off of it right away. There, they make some adjustments there with the Bastion, and able to make it work towards the end. Switzerland, I know we saw at times they were able to take a few fights, combo a few ultimates, looked quite good. I just not enough here against Canada.
Yeah, a couple of moments there, but in general, Canada were able to play non-standard, some maybe sub-optimal compositions and still get away with it. And at the end of the day, if you fundamentally are not on the same level, you are not going to be able to succeed in these situations, and Canada can style on you. Let's head down to the floor and hear from one of our youngest rising stars in the Overwatch League. It's Agilities with Malik.
Thank you very much, Uber. I'm here with Agilities. Man, you guys got second place last year at BlizzCon. You come here, you're unscathed, a perfect 16-0 in maps so far. What is your recipe for success in Team Canada?
I think having the structured coaching staff is really good. We got Jane, we got Sword, we got Danny. They're all helping out with map strats and stuff. And I mean, we're just having more fun this year, and it's also fun. We're Overwatch League players, most of us, so just like a chill event for us, and we're having a good time.
That's awesome, dude. Just having a good time, man. That's the recipe. All right, so, you guys are all experienced, all Overwatch League players, but the good thing about the World Cup is there's so much talent. There's so many new faces that you get to face off against. So my question to you is, have there been any DPS players on the other teams that have kind of surprised you a little bit with how talented they were?
I think the main one is Onigod. Other than that, I haven't been paying too much attention, but Onigod is definitely Overwatch League tier, I think.
Oh yeah, he shocked me a little bit too. I think both of the players on that team did. All right, last question for you is actually one for the last matchup of today. You guys got Team USA coming up. How are you feeling about the matchup, man? Any smack talk, any thoughts that you want to get out there?
I think that we're gonna win, obviously, but my main thing is just we're having fun with these games. This was the warm-up. We weren't really trying, but yeah, I think we're gonna win.
Do you feel like you properly hit your strats all through the stage?
That was kind of the plan. These teams were easier, so we just hit our strats and played what we didn't want, and now we're gonna take it on to USA.
Woo! All right, well, thank you very much, Agilities. Much appreciated. And guys, we're gonna go ahead and break down that Team Canada victory with the casters. Take it away, boys.
All right, some strong words coming out there from Agilities. That's what we'd like to, strong, in terms of what we normally get from him. He's very polite, very kind guy. So Battle of Words obviously raging on the stage, and of course over in the Twitter sphere, guys. That's why it's time for our T-Mobile Fan Pulse, brought to you by the fastest network ever. Here we go. Ultimate coordination, Matt, ultimate economy, team fighting. That's something we definitely look for in this game.
Look at that. They do a great job of using that Sombra EMP in combination with whether it's an Earth Shatter or a Self-Destruct to be able to rattle off a lot of kills in these fights.
Something we've also said that, we've criticized some of these other teams for as well, overusing some of those ultimates in scenarios like that. It's a fine line, between using not enough to win a fight and essentially wasting ults and then using too much. So, that is definitely something where we constantly try and observe from these teams. And Canada, USA, you can expect to see that. I think Norway have actually demonstrated their ability to do that. One of our favorite things to see.
And note, we talked about him a lot during the Overwatch League season. Extremely impressive off-tank player for the Boston Uprising. His rise to stardom kind of gets lost with how good Striker was throughout the whole year. But at the beginning for the Boston Uprising, you were talking about Note and Kalios, they'll split some time, whatever. Note was so good that it just kind of pushed Kalios all the way out.
That's true, and then there was a period where we saw Kalios play a little bit of that Zarya, but eventually that was something that we saw picked up by other players on the team, and Note showed himself to be just really incredible. I mean, it was when we talked about the MVP or the Rookie of the Year. I always, that's not an award by the way, but I always had an idea Rookie of the Year or Young Player. There are 5 or 6 of them, that I'd throw out there. Agility's definitely one of them. Space, Note, definitely someone you could put in that conversation. He's like a franchise player in my opinion, you know what I mean? That's a sports ball term, but he's going to be around for a while and he's definitely going to be making an impact. We've got one more and people, I mean, you probably shouldn't listen to what I say anyway, but...
no, you definitely shouldn't.
Now, breakfast condiments, I guess you have cheese for breakfast in Europe, right? That's quite common. So,
Okay.
you know, obviously maple syrup because that's like the easy one. Yeah. Don't listen to what I say. It's really waste of time.
Yeah, it was a bad joke.
Yeah,
That ended up being a tweet.
Yes, but there it is, ladies and gentlemen. So, of course, as the battle for the top rages on Take Your Team to trending with hashtag OWWC on Twitter, of course, with the fastest network ever. Keep it going. Let me know. Maybe just get some better lines from me on Twitter. That's what we like. Let's have a look back over the match, though, and sort of see exactly how things played out here, because I've definitely seen Canada in the driving seat a lot of the time, Matt. How much can you really say?
Look, another team that really didn't do anything to stop the Sombra play from Sure4. I think his shot calling playing Sombra, how to engage, his teamwork with XQC has been really strong. And I think whether it's Agilities or Mangachu in the lineup, two guys who can play so many different heroes, I would be shocked if we don't see a ton of this in the USA match. A ton of Doomfist coming out from Agilities. I know I can think back when we were in Denver casting Contenders, and he was playing a decent amount of Doomfist. Very strong Doomfist player.
That period of time was when he first really started to actually get some action. Now he seems like a must-have.
And I think if you're Switzerland, you go back and watch this fight over and over again, and this is kind of where things are going wrong for you.
It says a lot, though, really, doesn't it?
You use two big ultimates like an EMP and you use a Dragon Blade, and you're not able to win the fight because you leave a McCree standing in the middle of the open to just kind of take you out. Like, got to get a little bit better with prioritizing some of those targets.
Again, it also comes to calling sort of midway through and later in the fight. You start a fight by calling a target, which is great, but once that target is down, or if you lose the player, then you need to keep that communication going. I'd like to think that McCree normally would be pretty high up on the totem pole of of priorities when you're calling targets. That seems like a bit of a breakdown in communication late into the fight. This is, that's unfortunate.
Scorpion's just staring at it.
It's just perfect, though, isn't it? That was almost Lux as well. Like, that could have been just astonishing.
He catches the Mercy there, Remix, as he's trying to actually go down, not able to. And Sure4 here, configuration tank towards the end. He doesn't really even get that much because everybody else is already dead via Agilities and Note.
Well, you love to see that stuff from Canada as well. Some perfect placement from Note. Everyone on that roster's looking strong. Been good to see Switzerland as well. They've got a lot of knowledge and insight to bring back to their home region. Coming up after this, though, Norway versus USA. One to be checking out. We'll see you guys after the break. I'm sure you're excited. We'll catch you in a bit.
The Overwatch World Cup is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever. And by Omen by HP, the official PC of the Overwatch World Cup.